and we really, really, really need you to fill out those review documents. You know, the rep. What do they call it? I forgot. Sorry? Yeah, the evaluation. So if you would please do that, that would help us tremendously, because it's only the feedback that tells us whether we're hitting the mark on what it is you need, so that next year when we do something like this, we either adjust it or do exactly the same thing. So give us the benefit of your thoughts. If you don't have one, I will bring one to you.
Thank you.
Anyone else need one? You don't have to do it this minute. Just please be sure you do it before you leave.
I think the best thing would be to just pass it along.
You should have gotten one when you came in, but I will go get some for the room. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And by the way, I forgot to say that we are also San Jose scientists. So now it's time to me to introduce Sean Randolph, which is our partner on the project Destination Europe, which is the name of the project which brought us here today also. And Sean is the president of the Bay Area Council Economic Institute. It's an organization helping competitiveness for the economy in the Bay Area, and it provides information about the performance, economic performance in the Bay.
charts. It's all there. I'll show you the website address later on. But essentially, we look at the system here, the business community, the business environment, it's an ecosystem. There are very diverse players, institutions, actors. The key thing is how they are linked through networks. Some of these are global networks. This is where Europe comes in. And they're also very distinct business and economic cultural value that define how the players interact. A lot of that has to do we look at what's going on here, we also see that the Bay Area, in addition to having the largest R&D base in the country, perhaps the world, and the largest concentration of venture capital and angel capital in the world, it also has the largest and the most diverse concentration of IT, life sciences companies, and also clean tech companies. So a critical mass in all those industries, to put them together, how they interact, it's sort of a double critical mass. So when we look, for example, at clean tech, you can see the significant proportion of clean tech companies nationally that are located in the U.S., internationally that are located in the U.S., about 60%. Of those, the largest number are here in the Bay Area. So when you talk about where's the future of clean tech going, not that it all happens here by any means, but we certainly have the greatest concentration of these younger, more entrepreneurial, technology-based clean tech companies, which again is attracting investors and partners to come here from all around the world. Social media almost speaks for itself. Most of the major social media companies in the world and in the U.S., not all of them, of course, but most of them are located here. And again, that's something else that is attracting and driving a lot of capital. I should say on the capital investment side, from 1995 to 2011, the region received about half of all national venture funding for telecommunications, about half of all the venture funding for computers and peripherals, more than half of the national funding for software, more than 70% for semiconductors, and at various times has been as much as 80 or 90% for clean tech. And another measure is patents. If you can look at from left to right, the total number of patents generated here versus anywhere in the country. Now we think about a lot of these other centers, which they are as being extremely important centers for innovation and technology development. But look at the total number of patents issued in the Bay Area compared to any other metropolitan region, including some that are much larger than us, such as New York. The patents per million inhabitants, so per capita, vastly larger the share of patents in the U.S. So it's only, it's not that patents are the only measure of innovation, but it is an indicator. And it's worth noting that a lot of these are co-patented with partners in other countries. In industry and in universities, many of these are co-patented with partners in Europe. So this just maps out how it works. The key here, there we find, is that everybody is cooperating with everybody else, pretty much. Or large subsets of companies are working with industry, with universities, with federal laboratories. We see corporations have their own venture firms, corporations have their own incubators, and a lot of this revolves around this startup environment where we're trying to grow with partners around the world, innovative younger companies. So a word about the global part of this again. A lot of this is built on a human capital base, that's you, of people from around the world. About 40% of the residents here in the Bay Area speak a language other than English at home. They speak a second language other than English. But perhaps most significantly, and by the way, these immigrants tend to be very, very highly educated. About 50% of the tech startups in the Bay Area have a founder who was not born in the U.S. About 52%. That compares to about 25% on average in the U.S. So a lot of the innovation here, I think you're beginning to picture that whether it's through large corporations that are present here through R&D labs or through their incubators or their venture capital activity, or whether it's through the people from around the world that are coming here to be part of this business environment we've created, a lot of it's around innovation, but it doesn't all happen here. A lot of this is happening in partnership of various kinds with other companies. They could be big companies, they could be individual entrepreneurs, they could be scientists, technicians, from literally throughout the world. And it happens in many, many ways, but it's very much a global conversation. And this just kind of shows a little conceptualization of what it used to be about people here from Asia, it pulls us toward Asia. Asian markets